I have a little story for you. So, Dane County has been a long-term member with Dane Buy Local. And in fact, Dane County is one of, if not the first, government entity to join a buy local group anywhere in the country. They've been with us for a long, long time. We've been around for 16 years. And they're very proud of that. The same county executive that we had 16 years ago is the county executive today. He's well liked. He does a really good job and makes things work very well here in the Madison-Dane County area. So we've always had a good relationship with the county, and I'll talk about some strategies when we go into breakout sessions on how we've done that. But during the beginning of the pandemic, at the end of March, I received a phone call from the county executive's office asking what could the county do to help small businesses, local businesses here in the area. And I had just gotten off a phone call with some of the other IBA leaders in the area, one of them being Thomas, who mentioned that they were trying to develop a grant program for Arizona. And I said, wouldn't it be great if we could do a grant program here in Dane County supporting local businesses? And it was Josh from the county executive office that I was talking to, and he said, that's a great idea. I've got some things that I have potentially can develop. Let me go back and talk to the county executive, his name's Joe Parisi, and see what we can do. 12 hours later, I get a call back from Josh, and he says, we have $250,000 for you to issue grants. And I'm like, great, that's terrific. So we start issuing the grants. He calls me about a week later and says, how's it going? And I said, well, really well. I mean, we have way too much need. We're going to go through the $250,000 really fast. I think at that point we had about 300 applications in just over a week. And he said, well, tell you what, would it help if we found some more money? And I'm like, yeah. So he says, okay, let me go talk to Joe and let me see what we can do. 12 hours later, he calls me back and he says, we found another $550,000. And I'm like, great. So we go to work with $800,000. He calls me back a week later and asks, how's it going? And I basically had the same response to him. It's going really well. One of the questions that we were asking in the application is, what's your need, financial need? At that point, we had $27 million worth of requests through the applications that we'd received. And he's like, oh, geez, okay, well, let me see what we can do. And like, okay. So he goes back and talks to Joe. And this conversation took a little bit longer for him to get back to me. It took about 24 hours or so before I actually heard back from him. He calls me back and he says, well, we were able to find some more money. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is good. You know, how much can it be, right? We already have 800,000, maybe it's $1 million, I was thinking, you know. So he's talking along. These are CARE dollar acts that had just come, the CARES Act that had just come through Washington. And there was a specific line that needed to be in the CARES Act that our representatives here in the Wisconsin, Mark Pocan, our House of Representative, and Tammy Baldwin from the Senate, they each made sure that this one line was in the CARES Act that says some of the dollars for state and local government could be used to help support local businesses. And he says, that line is in here. It's exactly what we need. Let me talk to the attorneys, but we're going to be giving you maybe $1 to $2 million. I'm like, wow, terrific. He calls me back the next day and he says, everything's good. The attorneys have signed off on this. We've got everything we need, except we're giving you $10 million. And I'm like, did I hear you right? $10 million? And he's like, yep, $10 million. So it's $10.8 million. All of this because of the relationship that we had with the county and also with Amoeba in being to generate these ideas. So we've now
Did we lose Colin like right at the greatest point of his speech?
We did. He has lost signal. As soon as he comes back in, I bring him back in.
Okay. So while we're waiting for Colin, is there anybody out in the audience would like to comment on what struck you on what you've heard so far?
Derek, this is Neil Stechelty from the Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, and working with Colin. I want to, while he can't defend himself, I want to put out here and say he's really underselling his role in all of this. His outreach to not only to the officials in Dane County, but those state representatives and obviously your association and all those other folks, really, he was the linchpin that helped make all this happen. So while he can't try to pawn that off on somebody else, anybody interested in kind of how all this came together and how it certainly reach out to Colin. He'll be very bashful and try to say it was somebody else. But at the end of the day, it really was his efforts that really helped put a lot of this together. So I want to make sure credit goes to where credit's due on this effort here locally. So.
Well, thanks, Neil, and I love your background with the helmets and all of that. What's your connection to Dane Buy Local?
I'm the director of economic development for the city of Sun Prairie. We're a suburban community just outside of Madison. In my department, actually, I think she's on here. Actually, we also have a business improvement district for our downtown, for our small business community downtown. That manager is on my staff, so we do a lot of work directly with our businesses in that area. Also do some work with the Wisconsin Main Street program and collaboration there. So Colin's has been a great resource for us, and really kind of does a lot of work with our Chamber of Commerce as well. And he's really been just a really good facilitator in terms of building partnerships in the Madison market. So we're proud to work with him, and we're happy to be here.
Can I just add something too? I'm on the board for Local First Durango, Colorado, and we were having major financial issues in May and June because of COVID and businesses not being able to support being part of Local First anymore. And I went to an Amoeba meeting with Della and Colin, and because of what Colin said, we ended up getting a contract for $900,000, and we are the administrators of the same exact grant program that he's talking about, meaning we get 10%. So we now have an influx of $90,000 into our Local First organization, 100% because of Amoeba and Colin. So thank you so much.
And Mary, where are you located again?
Durango, Colorado.
Durango. Our board president's in Durango.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take this time. We're going to have to throw it audible. So if you need to stretch, take a quick break until we get Colin back. You can go ahead and do that. But let's keep talking. Is there any other comments out there?
This is Peggy, also with Dane Buy Local, and I helped Colin administer that grant, and I would be happy if anyone had questions. We did the physical. I literally printed $10.8 million of checks out of my home printer.
Wow.
So I'd be happy, maybe if you want me to pick up where he left off or answer any questions, I'd be happy to do that.
Great. Thank you. Well, Colin, are you back?
I think I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are. We can hear you. Can you see us?
All right.
Yep.
Okay. I can see you guys. You can't see me?
No, we can. We're good.
Okay, great.
Okay. Yeah, I should probably get disconnected more often. You guys are saying wonderful things about me. So thank you. I appreciate it. That's very kind words. I appreciate that. So the one thing I just wanted to make mention of in the larger group here, if I can steal 2 more minutes, is that one of the things that we focused a lot of attention on was to make sure that minority-owned and women-owned businesses were represented. So in the Dane County area, about 12% of the businesses here are minority-owned. 25% of the total dollars that went out went to minority-owned businesses, and 54% of the businesses that received funds were women-owned organizations. So we really focused hard on that. We reached out to the Latino Chamber and the Madison Black Chamber to help support that. We went on to the Spanish radio station. They were out with us yesterday. I don't think they were able to join us today, but we did interviews with them. We did a number of outreach type things to get the message out there to support minority-owned businesses. So hopefully we are making an impact, making a difference in the community.
Thanks.